Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Supreme Court adjourns hearing on review of Emeka Ihedio's case till 2nd of March as fear grips PDP supporters over Bayelsa Deputy Governor's alleged certificate forgery. House of Representatives order 400 exotic cars for members, reject Made in Nigeria brand. And later on the show, Chairman of Pinnacle Communications, main driver of Nigeria's digital switchover, Lucky Omolua, dies suddenly in Abuja. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Now, political development in Imo and Bayelsa states are still pregnant with twists and turns. While we stood on the edge for the outcome of the review of the judgment sacking Emeka Ihedioa as the governor of Imo State, the Apex Court adjourned the matter till the 2nd of March. That of Zamfara also suffered the same fate when both matters came up for hearing. Meanwhile, fear envelops the camp of Bayelsa State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, over alleged certificate forgery against the new Deputy Governor, Lawrence Ekujokbo. Babajide, is that the new thing now? People getting into public office and you discover that they have questions to answer with the qualifications they tendered to INEC.
Yes, it's and of course, you know, the interesting thing is that all of these parties are circulating the same individuals.
Yes, yes.
They're circulating the same individuals.
PDP today,
this
APC
one
tomorrow.
will be PDP today, tomorrow is APC.
APC, yes.
When it's APC, they will say, oh, it's a party of progressives. And there are people who can only be described as progressives by somebody who is drunk in the APC. So the truth is, with these people circulating amongst themselves, there is no way that they will not know each other's secrets. In fact, the secret can be leaked from someone who used to be part of your own inner caucus.
Yes.
Before he fell apart.
Definitely.
Before he left. Okay, for example, on the day that Doyediri was sworn in, there were people who still had meetings with David Leon the day before. There were people who were with him just before that announcement was made, and they appeared at the
David Leon,
Doyediri's inauguration.
The next
in fact, a
24
friend
hours.
of mine wrote something. He listed some names. He said, I cannot believe that these people that we had meetings together attended this
They
inauguration.
jumped ship immediately.
Even some of the musicians that were to play at Leon's inauguration, they ended up playing at Doyediri's inauguration.
Before you say Jack Robinson.
This is Nigeria. People who are ready to move at...
No ideology, nothing whatsoever.
No. Our politics is not ideologically driven. Except we are fooling ourselves. You see people who are hardcore conservative. You see them in the APC. So how do you then describe
Them as progressive.
Do you suddenly become a progressive by joining a party? No.
Change of address.
Progressivism is a matter of conviction and is an attitudinal disposition that people have recognized with you over time. It's not you don't just wear the toga of progressive because you joined a party. No. That has to do with your own disposition. You don't appropriate progressivism. We see it in you over time. We see it. You cannot go and do baptism and then become a progressive. No. The real progressives, even back in their schools, they would have been identified. And then in future, as they grow up, we'll know that, yes,
The point
this
in
is-
time, very young president.
except
the
he
point
then commits political suicide and then he falls by the wayside. But you will see some of them, the progressive, used to be Nance president, moves on to become an APC member. People like MOB, for example, was announced president, and then he moved on and became someone in politics. And there are many of them like
and
that.
has always been to the progressive line.
Yes, always
AD,
where they are.
AC, where.
But there are people who have moved and moved, jump in today,
So you can't
come back tomorrow,
identify them.
go back. No, yes,
don't know where they
there are
belong
people
to.
who will have moved like that up to 3 times. And so what is just because they are seeking political positions. And it is those people, when you see them, when people see that they don't stay in one place, it becomes difficult to even trust them with leadership. There's a big problem about leadership recruitment in our country. A lot of the people get to those important positions are people unprepared, people unworthy of holding those positions. The real people, the qualified people, those who have the capacity, who have got
Competence,
the wherewithal,
character, capacity, the 3 C's.
a lot of them don't even get close. The day that our capacity to recruit the right leadership improves significantly, it will also impact on the quality of the person who is up there. Because only the best will get to the top. Right now, people who are far away from being the best, they get to the top. So the point that I'm making is, this certificate thing that you, back to your questions, they know themselves. Look at a state like Bayelsa, for example. It's a small state.
Very small.
It's local government. The state capital only
one major road
runs through it.
Across the
No, only one major road runs through it. So people know themselves. So definitely, they know each other's secrets. They know each other's secrets. So it's a big problem. I hope that the Supreme Court would at all times from now on, and that's also dependent on the quality of people getting into the Supreme Court. Because whether we like it or not, the quality has gone down from the days of those babas that we used to respect. Kefe, the rest of them, Justice Anthony Aniagolu, who described judges as representatives of God on earth. That is the judge. Justice Aniagolu was the one who said, Justice Uwais, you allowed a small lawyer to humiliate you within the 4 walls of your court, and you didn't do anything. Where a lawyer had the temerity to accuse the Chief Justice of Nigeria of corruption. And you didn't derobe him instantly. He said, if I were you, I'm derobing him right there. But the times have changed, and that passed. So this is the thing. The quality of judges, into the final court also has to improve. It has to improve, both in terms of their quality upstairs and even their capacity to stay off compromise. Because you must learn to run away from politicians. Politicians will destroy you. They will destroy. Judges must run away from politicians. Otherwise, we'll see a judgment today that makes it look like it's illegal for Faleke to inherit the votes of his of Audu. But in another breath, another judgment will contradict that. So this is the thing. It makes it, if it continues, people will not respect the Supreme Court anymore. We want the Supreme Court to be respected. We want the Supreme Court to stay away from politicians, because the politicians will pile the pressure, but you must have the conviction to say, no, stay away from me, you Satan.
GKB, now looking at this now, this brought David Leon, brought him down, the issue. Now, if this can be substantiated, the allegation against the PDP, the deputy governor.
Yes, the new deputy governor.
Yes.
Well, we are in uncharted territory, really. And just this morning, I was just thinking that imagine Supreme Court applying the same parameters that they use for Leon's deputy, or the new deputy. That means Bayelsa will be without a government as in less than a week from now. And I think this is what a lot of these soothsayers are trying to lash on to make a quick buck, as it were. Because it's very obvious that the parameters that were used to deal with the APC team will apply to this new team. But like Gide said, there's been a drop in quality, this time across the board. Not only when it comes to judiciary, but even when you're talking about even our own profession,
yes.
journalism. The things have dropped tremendously. And it has affected the quality of judgment, and the quality of reporting that even we get as journalists. And that to me is the challenge that we have. Like I said, the Bayelsa thing is a brand new territory for us to chart. And it's going to lay a foundation, whether we are going forward or we are receding backward. Because remember, whoever goes to court now will have to challenge a government that was installed by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will now have to educate on the government that it installed based on the same parameters that they use to remove the other one. That to me is the interesting part of what we are facing as a nation.
Okay.
Still on that matter, you see, it depends on where the case was filed. When this thing happened, I started reading on Facebook and other places that, the deputy governor of Bayelsa forged certificate. And I read through the story. It looks really convincing that happened. That even his NYC certificate and all that. But that was filed at a magistrate's court. If we check the story, the Vanguard story that everybody is sharing, the matter was before a magistrate's court. So it was filed as a criminal matter, not as an election petition. You understand? Look, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of the deputy governorship candidate to David Leon, that one was filed as a pre-election matter.
It has direct
using the Electoral Act with the sole aim of disqualifying him as a candidate.
It was defined.
Yes. In the other case, this was filed as a criminal matter. And once he gets sworn in,
Section 388.
it can only be brought to court when he ceases to enjoy immunity. So that case will be suspended until he has lost his immunity. So this is the thing. I read those things and I'm saying, magistrate court, that means that this guy
is protected.
Not targeting, that is the process that brought him in.
There are different kinds of cases. If it was the Electoral Act that they used in filing that matter, with the sole aim, what is the goal? Declare him.
That's it.
Declare him incompetent to occupy that position. Then you can know that he can be disqualified. But if you merely file the matter as a criminal matter, he already has immunity now. Nobody, no governor, no deputy governor can be put under criminal prosecution, can be prosecuted in that manner until he ceases to enjoy immunity.
I wanted to ask you about Zamfara. Since the All Progressive Congress didn't give up on Zamfara, so at least what Emeka Ihedioha is doing in Imo now, everybody, there's a kind of ray of hope that, what happened to Zamfara was a case that, it was so unfortunate. All the House of Assembly members, senatorial seats, assembly, and it was very...
Everybody, the party president.
When you look, the Zamfara matter began largely as a governorship tussle. So I was taken aback when everybody got affected by this thing. You should have left it to
the governorship.
The governorship tussle. Let Kabiru Malafa and Shehu Koguna, who were battling for the thing, let them give a judgment that settles things in respect of the gubernatorial matter. But in this case, you said everybody.
Change all the texture.
Everybody. Some of them had even won unopposed.
If you look at the result,
some of those guys had even emerged unopposed, meaning that there was no need for
a primary.
Yes, because they emerged unopposed.
That's part of the criterion.
But in this case, you said everybody. So I quarrel with that. And I sympathize with former Governor Yari because he's been insistent that this is an injustice, that this has to be redressed. Because the truth is, PDP was literally non-existent in that state.
Yes.
You
The
know?
one-party state.
Yes, you can, before an election, you can be sure of who will win.
When you check out the results, the 2019 results across.
But as we always say, because the APC leadership in that state failed to resolve the differences amongst them, and the party at the national level itself had its own agenda. They had who they were supporting, who they wanted to win. They were unable to resolve this matter. The president never intervened in matters like this because he went to Zamfara to campaign. You will have expected that the president will put his foot down. And he has the gravitas. He commands the respect that he could say,
this is what I
Paul,
want to happen.
this is what I want you to do. I will reward you. I will give you an appointment somewhere. That is what the president should do. And where the party has this kind of crisis, this is what I expect the president to be doing. Put your foot down. Step in.
Take a position.
Don't always stay in the middle because the middle is a ditch.
Or stand aloof.
Yes, or stand aloof. Take a position that, look, this is who we want. You know what Obasanjo used to do, and I've mentioned it here before. Obasanjo will lobby people. Get them. He already has his own person in mind. He will get them to support his candidate. So once those people have supported his candidate, he will now say, this is the person that I want. It will look like, the president has spoken, and nobody will complain, but because he had already phoned them to say, look, I have interest in this candidate. You know, so that's the thing. As a president and leader of the party, you must get involved. If you continue to not get involved, this party will continue to drift and drift and drift. You can't leave the party to a few individuals to be solving the problems, bedeviling the party, because the way the APC is who has power, who is strong, that prevails in most cases. And when that happens, many people will stay aggrieved. But you see, on these matters, when you look at what the Constitution says, you ask yourself that, is there really hope? In the matter of Ihedioha, the counter affidavit that the Hope Uzodinma camp filed, I picked a quote from there. It says, it is now a settled law that the 60 days time limit to determine and conclude litigation on election matters is sacrosanct and cannot be extended by any guise. You know, so, and there are cases that you can cite. Professor Ukpa versus Suswan. The case was decided based on this 60-day limit. Ukpa versus Suswan, yes. Then Usman versus Abubakar was also decided in like manner. It's there in the weekly law reports. And in fact, the Supreme Court punished a lawyer for bringing an application before it after the expiration of, because it was assumed that you should know that after 60 days. So in this case, 60 days is gone for Ihedioha. 60 days is gone for the Zamfara people. So the Supreme Court can simply decide to use the issue of jurisdiction, that it no longer has jurisdiction because the Supreme Court, the Constitution has tied its hands. But then, let's see what
GKB, when are we going to have election like something that happened in 2015? We had election and the number of litigations dropped because according to reports and statistics, that election was a little bit, credible, better. So the number of people that went to court automatically, so people actually decided their leaders, not going to courts to get.
Well, you must understand that 2015 was unique. 2015 was a movement. That even if you remember, there are some candidates of other parties using the president's montage as part of their campaign. So that particular aspect is gone. People have come back to us. Then we were in heaven, we are in the clouds, because we thought we are moving with a movement that will change everything. But 4 years later, reality has come in. A lot of the actors did not really deliver at every level. So people become more confident in coming forward to assert their rights, as it were. And don't forget, even in some states, it was obvious there's going to be do or die. Irrespective that the aura that followed the victory in 2015 no longer exists. So I think this is why we have the difference. Don't also forget that Jonathan conceded very quickly. So it sets a pattern for others to follow. Because people just realize the fact, fine, this party has won the presidency, all things being equal, you don't have to let the bandwagon roll on. And that's what really happened in 2015. But this year, or rather last year, that's not what we faced.
Okay, I have my first caller. Tunji is calling us from the United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us, Tunji. Hello, Tunji.
Yeah, hello. How are you?
All right, go ahead.
Fine, thank you. I'm just live sitting in my living room watching you guys now, and I'm listening to what you're saying. I want to first of all quite appreciate you guys for the good job you're doing, especially the Babajide. I'm one of your favorite fans.
Thank you so much.
I was in Nigeria recently, I was not to meet you, but I was unable to do to my schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, back to today's topic. I want to believe that our judges in Nigeria, especially the Supreme Court judges, they seem to have been compromised one way or the other. And I will cite the Bayelsa case as an example. During the presidential tribunal case, I recall that the PDP insisted on Justice Bashua recusing herself, and they were succeeded. I wonder why Mary Ebili was recused herself from that case. But obviously she's an interested party in that case. Knowing fully well that her husband was and still is PDP chieftain, and in fact, and that's governor of the state.
All right, Tunji. Well, I have my reservation. You can't sit down and make a blanket statement that the Supreme Court judges, they are corrupt, and no. It's not something we love to do.
You are free to say someone is an interested party.
Yes.
But did the APC say they do not want her? They had every reason to say no. We don't want this person to be on the panel. Because that was what the PDP did in the case of Bukachua. Bukachua's husband was a serving senator. From her state. So why didn't the APC say no, we do not want this person? And this same woman had been on a judging panel before that favored the APC.
I don't know. I saw a video this afternoon. People mobilizing to our house in Abuja to go and protest. That's ridiculous.
I said she had favored APC before in that same Supreme Court.
She's not in Supreme Court to be
representative of PDP. The truth is, maybe having once favored them, they felt,
way people
there's
are like
no reason to doubt. So in this case now, I believe that they should have said, no, we do not want this person. So, and Justice Tanko, who heads the court, would substitute her with someone else. But there had been a case that favored the APC that she was on the judging panel. So maybe that was why some of the leaders realized that, well, since she has favored us before, there's no cause.
And she's not here to serve the interests of any political party.
The truth is, you see, but the truth is, even in the US, they know that judges have affiliations. Yeah. You see that there are some judges who lean towards conservative. There are some who lean towards the Democrats. So even every president wants to appoint a judge that he is sure is on his side.
Okay, I have General calling us from Delta States. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is General. I'm calling from Warri North local government area, Delta State.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I just want to make a contribution concerning the Bayelsa election. The deputy governor that led to the disqualification of David Lyon, I think it's a pre-election matter.
Yes.
And since it is a pre-election matter, I don't think the APC have a case, because that case has been on before the election proper on November 16th. And if that is the case, then APC, in the eyes of the law, do not have a candidate. That's just my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Now, still to come, House of Representatives order 400 exotic cars for members. Reject. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. When it comes to sloganeering, Nigerians rank high. The much touted Buy Made in Nigerian Goods campaign and the cutting cost of governance are undergoing serious tests in the country. The House of Representatives has ordered for about 400 vehicles for members. Your guess on the amount such projects will cost is as good as ours. Now, the honorable members have also rejected Made in Nigeria brand. They said they want imported vehicles instead. Babajide, we read that they want 2020 Toyota cars, 2020 model, and you know, with all the options and that the cost, the range, the cost between 26 million to 37 million, no, depending on
Toyota Camry XSE V6.
Yes, if it's a V6, 30 something million,
$35,130. So $35,130 in 400 places. That's
so, we calculated $14 million.
52,000.
So when we're saying that we should encourage local manufacturers that are just stepping up, and 360 members of the House of Representatives,
principal officers will
the chief of staff, that's why it's 400.
It's 400 to be used. We are back to that place we used to be in 1999. If you remember when they entered in 1999, there was a famous furniture allowance of $30,000 that it generated controversy all across the world. We still continue after 4 years to pay huge amounts on our lawmakers.
It's spending so much money to service bureaucracy, because this is what it means. I don't know how productive these guys are, that we are spending so much money on them. And the politicians, these elected politicians, need to really show that they have conscience. Because if they go to their respective constituencies, they will see so much poverty. People can't feed. I saw the Emir of Kano recalling how a woman, just because she couldn't raise money, less than 5,000 or so, to treat her child, that child died. Some of them will rush to his palace to try and seek support. This person ran back after they said, this is the amount that you have to pay for treatment, and in the process the child died. When the Emir was narrating this story, he burst into tears. People are going through a lot in our country. We just have to tell ourselves the truth. And to imagine that our lawmakers are not looking at the bigger picture, because to look at the bigger picture is to imagine how merely looking inwards we can do great credit to our country. We don't want to look inwards. Nigerians have a problem. Everyone seems to like anything that is not Nigerian. That was why I supported the idea of closing the borders at that time, because look, the obsession for things foreign in our country is huge. It's disturbing that our people are so crazy about foreign things. Look, Innocent, at the risk of appearing that one is projecting advertising, but then Innocent is a Nigerian success story. And all these categories of cars, garbage trucks, luxury buses, shuttle buses, even
we assessed one yesterday.
Even Humvees.
AVM.
You remember that the chief of army staff after they donated some vehicles, they showed that they could actually design and configure vehicles, armored vehicles, for the operation in the Northeast. After they showed that, the Chief of Army Staff ordered for more. And the police and the army got 100 fighting vehicles from innocent. There's no category, whether it is ambulance, with SUV or military vehicle, there's no category of vehicles that innocent cannot do. And that's a Nigerian company. But if we suggest innocent to our elected leaders, people that we maintain with taxpayers' money, they will say, what are you talking about? Is this a joke? Is this a joke or what? I mean, it's wrong. Everyone wants to buy a Toyota.
GKB, what's this craze for foreign brands?
We have a problem. And the problem is basically that we think that though we are Africans, we are better than anything that we can provide. Don't forget, we even import toothpicks. And that's something that is so minute, that's almost insulting. And like a tailor of mine would say, even the Ankara that we like so much are imported. The original material is from some other places.
We killed our textile mills here now.
And that even, you think that is bad. People are packaging a goosey and coming in from China. Imagine a goosey that
soup.
The day God created
even water now.
So everything comes in. It is that bad.
And palm oil.
Everything.
Rice. Processed palm oil. We bring
Jollof rice that belongs to us, that God gave us when He couldn't give us spring. Gave us jollof rice. We're now importing it. And the problem we have with our legislators, like Jide said, politicians across the board, is that they prefer foreign things to local things. It gives them that extra step to show that they are now better
than the rest of us.
That's the tragedy we are facing. And it's not going to go away soon. Because I'm sure somebody somewhere who is just leaving school is using this as a template of what it's going to do.
Wants to be like them too.
When it gets to that level.
When
so
it gets
no
to
matter
that
how
level,
much
not like anything in Nigeria.
They will not believe that now that's my turn. You want me to buy Igbo-made car. And when is your turn? Come and buy it. For me, I'm buying Toyota car.
Say, are you okay?
When people were buying 2 years ago, they were buying Toyota Camry. Why are you saying it's now my turn? Let me enjoy foreign car. Then when is your turn? Come in and buy whatever you want to buy. And so we go around in circle without really solving the problem.
These are Nigerian cars. So this is what they did for the military. That green one they did for the military. But they've gone ahead to do even something better than this for the military. Yeah,
we have things like this in our company.
The thing is, you see, the cars may not be excellent, but the truth is, we have to start from somewhere. You see Indians proudly entering their Tata, driving their Tata. This Tata, when I first saw Tata, I said, what does this one, is this a joke or what? When I first saw Tata in Nigeria. But the Indians, it belongs to them, and they are using it.
They're very proud.
They are proud of it. The Americans are proud of their Chevrolet.
And their Ford.
And in fact, the greatest club in the world, Manchester United, is today sponsored by Chevrolet.
GMC,
yeah.
Chevrolet.
So that is the thing. All of those in Detroit, where they are making those cars in America, is a thing of pride.
Motown.
And you see the Americans, okay, this is our country, we want this. We need to be far more patriotic than we are. When the American, when they hear the sound of that anthem, you even see tears dropping down their cheeks. Because you are proud of your country.
Sing national anthem. Nigeria will be seated.
They don't even know the lines.
They won't even stand up.
They don't even know the lines. Until they are told that, okay,
let's rise for the national anthem.
I was supposed to stand up for national anthem.
Do you understand?
Good to know.
No, you will even see some of them when the president is at an event, the president is standing. They are singing the national anthem. You see them exchanging banters.
During the national anthem.
But we've said on this.
They start saying all kinds of.
Well, we said on this program before that there are no Nigerians. We are learning to be Nigerians, and right now we are who we are: ethnic warlords, religious fanatics, whatever else you want to call us. Nobody has been able to bring us together. And from that, what the Americans call the American dream. Nigeria today is even more divided than we were some years ago. And that to me
It is a tragedy.
And until unless we are ready to let go certain things, people always see things from the prism of ethnicity or religion or regionality. That's why people who are suffering the most about the problem we have now, insurgency, are the same people
They are the ones who are more
defending,
tribalistic.
because they don't want to be seen as moving against the man in power who is from their side of the country. Meanwhile, the consequences of the incompetence is directly at them. So unless you get to the point where we can overlook that and see something Nigeria, and I'm afraid the thing you are looking for, somebody crying when they are putting the national anthem, will not suffice.
You see some footballers.
I do not
in other
cry.
countries, they put that hand on their
when Super Eagles,
on
when
their
they are
heart.
playing,
And they will be, as they are singing, they are
very
they are
emotional.
crying. Yes, they are crying that I'm representing my country. It's a thing of pride.
Let's be honest here. Whenever we come back to this, you and I have traveled in Otayo. You come back to this country and you land at many airports. Do you think the feeling you get is the one that will make you stand up and cry for that anthem?
No, I may not cry.
Seriously.
I may not cry unless you want me to exaggerate. I may not cry. But I deeply love my country. And I'm prepared to lay down my life for my country.
Yeah, that's why we are still here.
So I may not cry because the crying is an instinctive thing.
Yeah.
Just that they are playing the anthem. But I remember in 1996, when we won the Olympics.
Yes.
Many of us were crying.
Yes.
In Kano that day,
rare moments.
we couldn't sleep.
Rare moments.
You couldn't sleep. Everybody, we were jubilating. See, Okada riders, coming up with all kinds of stunts. About 3 of them even died that night. You see, so it was a thing of joy. And those who cried.
Yeah.
You see, because that match unified us as a people.
Yeah.
Football has always unified us. But you see, I also believe that solid leadership is one of the best ways to not only instill patriotism in Nigerians, but to unify us as a people. I want to see a situation in which our president, leading the line, will be the one to say, okay, this is a Nigerian product, this innocent. I want to begin to put innocent on my...
Or any local limit.
Yes, let it be my official car, that takes me anywhere I go, I'm sure that even
people will fall into ministries.
Yes,
a lot of
fall into
line.
I mean, these are the kind of decisions that presidents take in other countries.
To show leadership.
Look at the president of that country who crushed imported is it the president of Malaysia or where?
No,
which country?
Philippines.
He crushed them. You will see some of those cars. You will cry. Expensive car, Lamborghini and the rest of them. He brought Caterpillar, or what was it called? He crushed them.
Everybody.
Crush them to dust. So this is the thing. Nigerians even their own rice that is way better than rice that they have kept in warehouses for more than 10 years. That in their own country they use as raw material in the feed mills. They say what they use as raw material to give their livestock. You eat it here, you are happy. It's not as nutritious as your own rice, but you jubilate, you feel hip. That I'm eating imported rice. You are eating poison without knowing that it's poison that you are eating.
And your neighbor must know you are eating imported rice.
And when you even cook that same rice,
that's changed with the closure of the border now.
But a lot of people still eat imported rice. Like when I went to Abuja, it's still imported rice that they
Okay, let's take. David is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for holding on, David.
To bring it in. They are bringing it in.
Thank you for joining us, David.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yes. So what I want to say about this 400 cars, exotic cars. See, just let me tell you, it's not only the rep or the politician. Even we, individuals.
That's what we said.
There are so many of us that they cannot use this innocent body. I'm talking out of experience. I once had a boss who wanted to buy a car, and I suggested for him, now, boss, why can't you buy this innocent? Say, what? Innocent? How can he buy innocent vehicle? Who will buy it? How can he drive it?
You're buying it too. It's all over TVC here.
We're buying it.
So, my brother, it's all over. We Nigeria, we just need to change our concept, our thinking about this buying Nigeria thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution, David. And ultimately, we were talking about these lawmakers, how much we used to service them. And another 4 years now, they will monetize this vehicle and they will go with this vehicle.
And they will pay less than $1 million.
Yes, and the new set of lawmakers, they must get something
They
like
buy-
this.
they buy
So
for
we
them.
are,
It's a vicious circle. I agree with you.
It's out of, it's just pure selfishness.
Yeah.
One day, maybe when we are discussing the immediate past Bayelsa governor, we will talk about his car. The Jeep that they gave him, Dixon, since he became governor, was the one that he used right up to the end.
countryman,
Yes. Ask anybody in his government. Is that when they wanted to change, he said, no, let me continue to use this. And you see, Baba Konde did that too. Also. You see? So,
to that ground.
yeah, so, Jack Konde, I remember Jack Konde
drove-
and his friend, Olawoyin, J.S.
Joseph.
Olawoyin, they had the same type of Toyota
Toyota
Crown.
Crown.
You know, because Jack Konde used to visit my mother's elder sister that time in Elone. And I was living with her. So I would see them, they say they were very good friends. So, and they would come in the same type of Toyota Crown at that time. You know, and that was what he was using, his personal car. So these are the examples that we should set for our children. We have set an example that is not worthy for our children. And that example is a Nigeria that is full of unproductive people, just basically consumers.
Leeches.
Basically consumers.
Nigerians
They
are
just want to
leeches.
consume. They just like the good life, but they don't want to sacrifice. You see people, you give some of them employment, they say, no, I can't do that work.
9 to
I can't
5.
do that work. I can't do that work. All they are after is just the easy life. It can't continue. We just can't. It's not a sustainable.
A graduate will tell you that I can't do any work that is less than 200,000 per month. I said, are you kidding me?
You think that was funny? when we had crisis with vendors about 20 years ago, and I was in Ibadan, somebody told me to my face that I'm too popular to be selling newspapers. You understand? That people know me. So when he now came to me 2 months later for money, I said, I can't give a popular person money. You have to go back to those you are popular with, because I have to sell this paper.
This is myth. Just
You
mythology.
understand that kind of low mentality?
Culture, value culture.
If we don't support our indigenous
They will die.
vehicle manufacturing companies, they will die now.
all
By
made in
now-
Nigerian products.
Well, now if we had started somewhere, we will be manufacturing aircraft. We'll be manufacturing even more tanks. The countries that we got independence with at the same time,
That we
we started the defense industries
industry
corporation.
before.
They already manufacturing
Pakistan
cars
is
and
doing
the rest
export
of
too
them.
now.
The
You
Bra-
know,
the
they are doing
Brazil,
their own rockets.
Brazil, Argentina.
We're falling way behind them, but it is not too late. It is still redeemable, but our attitude has to change. It is not by saying you don't want to see anything Nigerian that we can get there, because this is just unnecessary capital flight.
Waste of
No?
scarce
You are
resources.
using your resources to make the economies of other countries greater. I mean, you need to think.
400 units in Japan. They will promote the guy for selling 400 units of the same car. So meanwhile, somebody will suffer in Nigeria.
On a sad note now, in what we can describe as a big blow to the digital broadcasting in Nigeria, chairman of Pinnacle Communications, main driver of the country's digital television switchover, the scheme that Lucky Omonua has suddenly died in Abuja. Omonua was said to have died of heart attack. Babajide, this is a big setback to what we were discussing some weeks back.
I'm completely shocked that Nigeria has wasted a great Nigerian. I call it a waste because it is not easy to find people like Omolua, a Nigerian, decent. He never borrowed money from any bank all through his life. And he was always out to help the needy, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim. This was the kind of person that he was. There was a politician who was in the UK A big politician. He went to the UK and it was down to $100. $100. He's probably watching me as a politician from the Northeast. Down to $100. He called Omoluwa and said, see, I don't know what to do. I'm down to $100. I'm in the UK. What did Omoluwa do? Omoluwa gave 10,000 pounds to his staff and he put him on the next available plane to the UK. Go and give that fellow that money. There was another man, another rich man who was rich. A rich man who needed money, desperately was broke. Omoluwa, and the man said, okay, I need $6 million. Can you raise it for me? Omoluwa gave him, and he promised to refund within 6 months. 6 months, he didn't refund any money. 1.5 years after, he came back and gave Omoluwa $6.5 million. Omoluwa said, I'm not a money doubler. I assisted you because you couldn't raise money at that time. And he gave him he removed the excess money and gave him the rest. The Pinnacle Center in Abuja, they never knew he could finish it in record time. It was supposed to be a test. And this man did it in record time. He freighted the equipment that was used, including the mast, everything. You can imagine putting all that in an airplane and see how expensive it is. Because he knew that if he put them, if he decided to bring them if he decided to ship them to the country,
it would take longer time.
He wanted to show that as a Nigerian, he could deliver this kind of excellent work. And that was what happened. Unfortunately, even he's facing corruption charges, ICPC, along with Modibo Kau, the DG of NBC. And what happened? On the 12th of February, they agreed that, look, that's the lawyers to ICPC and their own lawyers, they agreed that they should have an out-of-court settlement. Because clearly, and we wait to see the judgment of the court. Clearly, there is no case. We are just wasting our time over this matter. You know how painful it will be that this man died, and it's possible that the judgment will favor him in the final analysis. How will members of his family live with that? The governor of Kaduna State, when he completed the Kaduna facility, El-Rufai said, I'm proud that this person is a Kaduna product boy, because that's where he grew up. El-Rufai was proud of him. But now, the digital switchover, we are yet to complete the rollout. Smaller countries have completed. Malawi, small countries have completed. We are still here. And the man who was in the forefront of providing the basis for the completion of the rollout has suddenly died.
GKB.
Well, it's unfortunate. Otherwise, as you know, truly believes in Nigeria and everything he does, usually when it comes to the switchover that we've been battling with for the last 10 years. And some of us will kind of know that sooner or later they will move against Nigerians who move into areas that people thought they could bring their partners to come and do it. So when Nigerians start moving in and creating waves, you and I know that sooner or later certain things will happen. That's how we kill our best, because we just assume that we are not good enough. And that to me is a real tragedy, because already the digital switchover that is being delayed now for over 10 years will be delayed some more, because the driving force outside government is gone. And we can now relapse to our usual way and then look some funny ND diploma holding Chinese or Malaysian to bring in and pay billions.
Never do worse from other countries.
People who don't have qualification to
come and colonize.
To come
even
and
prisoners.
What we have on ground here.
Prisoners from other countries come and shine in our country.
We bring them here now for something he has done for less than $1.6 billion. and will now be paying close to $50 billion. And it still will
That
not
is
be up
Nigeria
to,
for you.
it still will still not up to the standard of what he has done. So the loss is more, not to his only his family.
Have we now brought back Siemens now?
Yeah.
Remember Siemens?
I know.
The problems of Siemens under Obasanjo.
Obasanjo.
The massive corruption that was
And they
identified.
were chased away.
Siemens is
Siemens
still
is
in
here
the
now,
system,
trying
still
to
award
help
the
us with
contracts.
our
yes.
situation. People have chosen to forget what
is-
happened with
what
Siemens
happened?
back then. In their own countries, they dare not try some of those things.
Collude with people to, you know.
With all patriotic Nigerians. So we wish that God will give him eternal rest, because he did not deserve to end up in this way. A fantastic Nigerian. If we even see the kind of people going, to pay condolence, you know that he was not just a generous and good Nigerian, he was also a very good Christian. He did not discriminate. He spoke Hausa fluently. So once you met him, he's eager to help, he's eager to assist, not caring where you came from. So those are the kind of people that we need. But as the Yorubas will say, Igi toto, the tall tree does not last in the forest. So
It's the bad people that
that's
will
what
stay.
has, yes.
Hold
Those
on,
bad
hold on,
people,
hold
they don't die.
They don't die on time.
Pinochet, who was killing people in Chile, Pinochet was over 90. And he murdered hundreds of thousands of people. So that is it's unfortunate that this has happened, and I feel I sympathize with his best friends. I was speaking with one of them today, was crying like a baby. That look, all my years, I've never been pained by someone's death as
like
this one.
this.
But God knows best.
Pray God will grant the family the fortitude to bear this big
Irreparable
loss.
loss.
Big loss.
Massive loss to our country.
Osiare Ganika Idebalogun. Oh,
Honestly,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. And if you can make it back on this Friday, well, let's see how it
We're
goes.
expecting
Papa Jide Kolade told you. Thank you. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch our Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzugba. We'll see you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.